That's right. We're live here this afternoon. We're live on the radio, live on Facebook. I have my mic on, and we are ready to roll here this afternoon with a really exciting show. This is somebody that I've watched from afar with his classes and all the unique things that he's been doing at the culinary arts program at Greenwood High School there, District 50. Well, he covers the three areas of 96, Emerald, and Ware Shoals High Schools right there at the G. Frank Russell Center. My guest, Jay Hancock. He's in his 9th year as the chef instructor for the culinary arts program at the G. Frank Russell Technology Center right here in Greenwood. And he's been recognized as the G. Frank Russell Technology Teacher of the Year, 22-23, the South Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association Education Foundation Educator of Excellence, 24 and 25. He's a regular presenter there. He also works not only there at District 50, but out there at Piedmont Tech, and he does Department of Workforce Development in Continuing Education. Who is this mystery man? It is Chef Jay Hancock. How are you doing today, Jay?
Doing well. How are you?
Did I get it all right?
I think so.
You think so? That's great. I am so excited to have you here today. You know, I have watched the program over there really change and become a lot more community involved.
And that's something that I think is really important for the students to get seen out in the community. And you can't. There's only so many things you can do in a classroom, and so being out there in the community gives them a hard and fast deadline.
It does.
You have to be ready. The people are coming. When we go to our next catering Saturday, and the desserts have to be ready on time, or the event doesn't happen.
That's right. That's the Greater Greenwood United Ministry for Music for Ministry.
That's right. We're doing little mini shot glass desserts for that. So we're going to do banana pudding, layered dessert. We're going to do a chocolate raspberry layer dessert, and a strawberry cheesecake layer in little mini shot glasses with little mini dessert spoons.
That's cool.
Oh, I'm excited for it.
Well, that's neat. And, you know, this is what makes things different, doesn't it, is when you can bring this type of experience to young people. Because so many times young people see fast food, right? They don't get to see all this type of stuff, really.
Yeah, they do. And so, and that's part of what I see as my goal in the class, is to expose them to as much stuff in their year with me, their 2 semesters with me, as I can. They have to taste.
Right.
Even if it's like, oh, chef, I don't like that. They have to taste it.
Right.
And I tell them, even if you're standing over the trash can and you spit it right back out again, you have to put it in your mouth and give it a try.
Right.
Unless you're allergic to it or have a religious exemption. I'm not going to make somebody violate conscience on something. But other than that, it needs to go in your mouth. And some of them will be like, wow, I've never tried shrimp before. I've never had crab before. I've never had whatever it is.
You know, what an experience. What an eye-opening experience.
And that's the goal. That's the goal. Open their eyes to what's there, so that, whether they stay in food service or not, they are prepared to go out into the world and they can cook for themselves.
Right.
And they don't have to rely on going out to eat all the time, or they know what they're looking for when they get to a restaurant, and they can order something intelligently.
Right, exactly.
And so that's part of what I see as my goal.
Well, I think that's terrific. Now, I always like to start out with, how did you get to where you are today? What made you decide to go into food service?
So the funny answer to that is calculus.
Calculus. What do you mean, calculus?
So, my senior year of high school, I was taking dual credit calculus, because that was my next math class that I needed. And Calc 1 and I got along fine, but Calc 2 and I didn't see eye to eye. And I was thinking about engineering, because my dad was an engineer, my grandfather was an engineer. That's what I was going to do.
Right.
And I looked at that, and that did not work out. So I looked at took one of those career guidance sheets and surveys, and it said you should think about being a chef. And I'm like, oh.
And you were working at?
I was working at Chick-fil-A,
yeah.
And so I was in food service a little bit. But I like that. I like cooking with my parents. My mom and dad both cook, and I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy being in the kitchen, and that's interesting. So I went to culinary school, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Bob Jones in Greenville. They have a culinary program there. Got a culinary degree and a business degree there, and then went out into the workforce and ended up working in wedding catering and kind of diner, like garden cafe kind of settings, and then I moved into institutional food service, and so I worked at Bob Jones University, and then worked at Clemson. Am I allowed to say go Gamecocks?
Sure.
After I say I worked at Clemson,
yes.
Go Gamecocks. And then I went down here to Lander. They transferred me down here to Lander with Aramark, and was working for Aramark and enjoying the time there at Lander. Had some great people I worked with, loved working with the students, but I couldn't get that work-life balance.
That's what a lot of people say that are in food service. They look for a different way because otherwise you're working all the time.
It is, and I tell my students that. I say, look, you pick your path in food service, because there are so many paths in food service. And you look at a show like The Bear or some of these where they're working crazy hours, but they're getting that honor and that respect and that, they're pursuing that prestige.
Sure.
I chose institutional food service while I was working in the industry proper, because they got off Christmas and they got off Thanksgiving and I could be home more. But then I was still working 70, 80 hours a week, just getting the paperwork done for the corporate environment, not cooking, getting paperwork done.
Yeah, that's always the paperwork.
It's paperwork. Yeah. And so then I started to explore other things, and God opened the door for me to teach at G. Frank Russell, and this is going into year 9, and I love it.
And I tell you what, when you made that telephone call, it was a pretty swift process from the day you made the telephone call and found out about the job to getting hired. That's
I did.
4 days or something?
4 days, yeah. Wednesday to Monday.
Yeah.
Two phone calls and an in-person panel interview from a Wednesday to a Monday, and I had the job.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Pretty cool.
And now I would be curious though, because you weren't a teacher. So what did you have to do? Did you have to do anything to be certified to teach?
Yes. So South Carolina has a program for career teachers. They have several programs for different types of teachers, but for teachers that are culinary or auto tech or auto body or health science or sports medicine, they have alternate certification. And South Carolina does a really great job helping these teachers to learn how to teach. And the program's called Direct. And so we go down to Columbia for 4 weeks over the course of 4 semesters. We have to take 6 college credits, and we have to do a subject material test and practical exam to prove that we aren't just like some nutter who says we know how to cook, but we actually don't.
Right.
And
what did you have to do for that? That's an interesting story.
It was like a chop basket.
Right.
We went down to Winsboro to Fairfield Career Center. And there were 6 or 8 of us that were all getting the certification at the same time, and we just got to cook.
They gave you a basket and
said
what?
And said, hey, just I need an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and you have an hour or an hour and a half, whatever it was, the time period we had, and we had such camaraderie amongst us teachers. We were all just laughing and joking and playing around as we made our plates, and I think we all passed. And I think I might be the only one of that group that's still teaching though after 9 years.
Really?
Maybe one other who's still in the classroom, but a lot of them just feel the draw of going back into that kitchen. And being in education is different than being in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
And I love it. This is the best job I've ever had by far, and I don't want to do anything else as long as I'm able to keep teaching.
Why do you love it?
I get to impact the next group of kids coming in. The schedule's great too. Get to have those nights and weekends and Sundays and Wednesdays and summer times and those 2-week intercession breaks. I love the calendar that we're on in Greenwood County. It's just conducive to my family time. Mm-hmm. But I just love getting to take a group of kids every July, a brand new group of students, and show them the cool things in food service. And teach them how to function in a commercial kitchen, and then see them applying that, and then seeing them go out and go to college or go to go out into the workforce. Or I just had a graduate last week. He finished the Coast Guard Culinary Arts program in Petaluma, California.
Wow.
And the Coast Guard actually, for culinary specialists, it's like a $55,000 or $60,000 signing bonus.
Really?
For my graduates going into that. And so he just finished the culinary school out there. And so that's another career path, another great career path. So it's just fun to see where they go.
And you're impacting young people, and you're impacting food service, which, every time you go out to eat, you have to wonder, is everything good in the kitchen?
Oh, yeah. And some places are.
Right,
yep.
yeah. So now, one of the things that the students have to learn proper food safety, right?
They do, yes. And so my students before they go their first day in the kitchen, so we finished this, last week before, they get their Serve Safe Food Handler certification. Which is a national recognized certification in South Carolina. The Department of Health recognizes it, or the health inspectors recognize. They've moved the health departments
into
Department of Agriculture now, but the health inspectors recognize the food handler certification as a ship supervisor, a manager on duty certification. And so my students get that before they go their first day in the classroom, in the kitchen. It's a 3-year certification. And then if they come back to me in Culinary 2, we sit for the Serve Safe Manager certification, which is a 5-year certification that they would have to pay $150 or $180 to take if they weren't in my class. And that's a 5-year certification that every geographic location has to have at least one. At least one of those. So they get a lot of really, really good, useful things to get them into a career.
Now, I think one of the other things is that, truthfully, if you graduate from high school and you've been in this program, you don't have to go on to school to work in food service.
Absolutely. And food service is one of the things, and I tell my students that all the time, is that food service is one of those wonderful things that you can get just as far in food service with a culinary degree and without. It depends on what you do with it. Now, you may get a jump start by having a culinary degree, or depending on where you went and how you went and who helped you get there.
Right.
But so much of it is who you work with, how well you did, what honor you got, what number you hit. Okay, what was your food cost? What was your labor cost?
Right.
And so, after 5 or 10 years, they're not asking where you went to school. They're asking who you worked with.
Right.
Who was your chef? What restaurant were you at? What was your Michelin rating? What was your Yelp rating? What was your food cost? What was your labor cost? What was your...
So it's really something that you can build it yourself.
It is, and they can really make it in what they want to make it, depending on what they want to do, because college is not for everybody.
Right.
But there are some fantastic college opportunities. My kids, because the Greenwood Promise is such a great program, they can actually go to one of 4 schools in South Carolina tuition free.
Because Piedmont Tech does not have your restaurant.
Doesn't have it.
Right,
and so then they go to Greenville Tech, has a great program, wonderful program there. Myrtle Beach down there at Horry Georgetown, they have a wonderful program. Trident Tech has a great program down there in Charleston.
You'd have to be down by the water.
Oh, I know,
that's
suffering.
Terrible. Young person. Oh my God.
And then the newest one is actually in Bluffton at the Technical College of Lowcountry. They have a nice new program down there as well, so they can use their
suffering.
and there's and all 4 of those communities have such thriving restaurant scenes too. The only downside for us in Greenwood is they don't always come back to work in the restaurants.
Right.
And so, we want them to come back and help our local restaurants to improve and do better.
So you have this program. Now, how do your students react to all this? Because I know that one of the things that you were telling me before we went on air, you don't make it easy that first week.
I don't, and I want them to know what they're getting into, because it's a double block class. They're with me 5 days a week, 2.5 hours a day for 16 weeks. If they know by day 3 or 4 that ooh, I don't know if I want to do this, then they need to go do something else, because I don't want them to be miserable for 16 weeks. They're not going to make their classmates aren't going to enjoy it as much because they're not enjoying it.
Right.
And so those first few days, I tell them about the great opportunities that there are, because there are so many opportunities. And so I really amp it up that first day. I say, look, we're going to have a great time in this class. There's all these opportunities. You're going to get to eat. You're going to get to play. You're going to get to do these cool things. But you have to function in a professional kitchen environment where I am the chef, and I am in charge, and I am the final word. And these are the rules that I have in this class. And you're going to put your phone on the wall. And you're going to call out when you're not going to come. You're going to be in uniform, and you're going to speak respectfully, and you're going to behave respectfully.
What an opportunity. What an opportunity for these kids.
Well, and that's my goal.
Really? Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. And do you have those that say, oh, I'm not doing that?
Absolutely. And every year you have a couple that go back to their counselors and say, just wasn't what I was looking for. And that's fine.
Right.
I'd much rather them be in something they want to be in.
Right.
Than being stuck with me.
Right.
Because I want them to experience the breadth of culinary, but I don't want them to be like, oh, chef.
Yeah. It's another day going to work.
Yeah, right. But I do treat it like a job.
Right.
They get an employability grade. They get paid each week in a grade. They can have 200 points every week. They can have all 200 points if they want them. They can have none of them. If they no-call, no-show for the whole week,
right,
they get 0 points. If they sleep through class for the whole week, they get 0 points. They didn't earn a
I think
paycheck
it's
that way because they're
terrific.
not employable. You know,
Right.
and so teaching them life skills, and there's always things I add in and adjust into that. Into every year I'm adding things that I observe in my students, or that my advisory committee tells me, hey, this is something that's important to, you need to add in more talk about this. I've got something else I need to add into my courses for this next year because of something I've observed in one of my apprentices.
Wow.
Just some feedback I got. And so there's some things I need, like, hey, just like I'm your chef, that person's your chef.
Exactly. Well, you might find this interesting. Yesterday afternoon, we had the Due West Robotics program.
I saw that.
Yes, and they talk about teaching the students, and they start in fourth grade. I think it's fourth grade. Gracious professionalism.
I love that. That's great.
Isn't that great?
That's great.
And we discussed that many times. Gracious professionalism. And that's what the kids learn. They learn how to be respectful. They learn how to be able to discuss and disagree amicably and still get the point and this type of thing. I think that is something that a lot of kids are missing.
Yeah, it is. And they're learning how to problem solve amongst themselves. And if you have a problem with somebody in the class, my policy is if you can resolve it, but don't let it fester. If you can't resolve it, it needs to come to me.
Right.
And I will help you with conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution.
Because you can't let things fester in a job. You can't just, I know people that change jobs every time they disagree with somebody. They just go find another job. I'm like, what a waste.
It is a waste.
Find a way to connect with that person and reconcile with that person and learn to live. I have worked for people in my career that I'm like, I never want to work for this person ever again. But we learned to get along.
Oh.
And I learned sometimes the hard way.
Right. That's what you needed to do.
That's what I needed to do. And,
Right.
and again, I like gracious professionalism. I like that.
You like
I
that?
probably teach more respectful professionalism, but it's the same concept.
Right. But I just thought that was a great.
that's
I had never
great.
heard that
That's
term.
a great tag. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. All right. Well, anyways, now you also do apprentices out in the community.
I do. And so we have some really, really wonderful restaurant partners here in the community who take my students in and they pay them as an employee. They hire them as a full employee, and then they let them get professional experience. And they earn 4 high school credits for the apprenticeship, 2 per semester. They're excused. It's a double block class, so they're excused from their home school. It's on their schedule as a 2-block class, either morning or afternoon. But then for my students, they're not restricted to those hours because restaurants are not restricted to school hours.
Right.
And so my students get to work. I had one many years ago who worked 40 hours a week because he was a senior. He had econ and gov left, and so he had early dismissal, and he went to work. And he worked from 2 to midnight every day, or 2 to 10 every day.
And some of these kids are paying for college, right?
Well, they're paying for college, or they're paying for cars or car insurance, or they're just helping the family with the bills.
Right.
That's the reality of the world we live in, that sometimes these kids are helping their parents with household expenses. And
then they're actually getting graded, though, on being an apprentice. It's not just a job.
They are. And the grades that they get, some of them are just completion type grades. They have to get their time card every 2 weeks, and they have to have their time card signed by their boss. And they have to turn that time card in every 2 weeks, and
Right.
they get a grade for that. And then twice a semester, they have an employer evaluation, and they get evaluated by their employer. And our work-based learning coordinator, who's fantastic at what he just connects into the community so well, Chip Witt's our work-based learning coordinator, and he goes out and he networks with the bosses and brings them the evaluation and says, here's what I need you to do. And they bring that evaluation back, and it says, these are what you're doing well, this is what you should improve on. And then they have to sit down with him and go over that with him for them to continue on, and they get a grade for each of those steps. They get a grade for. But then they're also still considered my students. So Mr. Witt gives me those grades. I put them in Power School. They still are considered my student. So we still interact. They can still be on my competition teams, my culinary and management competition teams, because they're still my student, my rostered student, as they're representing my program out in the community.
And how does that work? How has that worked for the students?
So for the students, when they have their annual IGP, their growth plan meeting in January, February, they tell their counselor, hey, I'm in Culinary 2, I'm interested in doing the apprenticeship, because they have to finish Culinary 2 to get in the apprenticeship. And so they have to fill out an application, and it's a 10-page application with interests and absences and transcripts and an essay and a teacher recommendation from me.
And so it's not that easy just to
not.
go out in the community. How many on an average do you have?
So it kind of goes up and down each year, kind of depending on which students I have and how they're interested. Last year I had 6 apprentices that were in the community. And so that was my highest number I'd ever had. And they did really great jobs, got really great feedback from the employers. This year I have 3 who are out. And so I have one at Sports Break, I have one at the Inn on the Square, and I have one at Self Hospital this year.
And I expect, I mean, I don't know this, but I would expect that you would want these employers to move them around in a job. They don't just do one job, do they?
Yes, we try to get them to get as much experience within the job as they can. They're not just, we try to make sure, and again, Mr. Witt's really good at teaching the employers kind of what we want them to see, is that the students are there to learn. They're not just there to fill a warm body role.
Right.
They're there to learn different things. And so, I think it's Self Hospital where they'll work room service for a period, they'll work the cafeteria for a period, they'll work the veranda cafe for a period, and just kind of see the scope of what Self Hospital, because Self Hospital just, think about the food service just in that one little complex,
huge,
there. Yeah.
Huge.
And Sports Break, Break on the Lake, and on the Square, they all have that ability to move people around to those different roles.
Right.
I had one at Wesley Commons a couple of years ago, and they moved them around all the different cafeterias at Wesley Commons.
Well, that's
and
great.
got to experience these different things.
Absolutely. Well, we are here with Chef Jay Hancock. He is the chef instructor at the Culinary Arts program at the G. Frank Russell Technology Center here in Greenwood. We are having a great conversation talking about all the different parts of this program. Jay, I would be interested for you to speak to the parents about encouraging their students to take a look at this.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I love the outreach we get to have in these, so for this program, it's 10th through 12th grade students from all 4 of the high schools in Greenwood County. So Greenwood, Emerald, Ware Shoals, and 96. And we do require them to do a brief essay to their counselor that says why they're interested in culinary arts. And so when they have their annual growth plan meeting, they would say, hey, my student wants to be in culinary. It's a 2-semester class. So it's a fall semester is Culinary 1, spring semester is Culinary 2, and then you're considered a completer. And you can get up to 4 certifications right now from me for that 2 semesters. Career ready certifications recognized by the state of South Carolina and by industry groups. They can take that in one school year. Sometimes my sophomores need some of their core classes in the spring, and so they might take Culinary 1 in the sophomore year and Culinary 2 in the junior year, which is fine. You can split those across years. And then Culinary 2, I have honors credit too. So that's like if you're concerned about your student and not getting too many CP credits, if you're chasing a class rank or something like that. Culinary 2 is available on honors weight, so there's an additional portfolio and some 2 other testing requirements that they have to take. And then at the end of the semester, if they reached all those things, then we convert their CP credit over to honors credit after the conclusion of the semester.
Wow.
And then we have the apprenticeship is kind of the next year. So if you're rising junior, rising senior, and you finish Culinary 2, then you do the apprenticeship. And then after the apprenticeship, you can go right into workforce, just like you were talking about, or you can use the promise to go to one of those great schools, or there's some great private schools as well. And there's some that have 2+2s as well. So like Greenville Tech has a 2+2 with University of South Carolina, and they have that College of Hospitality, and,
right.
And so you can get the 2-year culinary, and then get the business side and the operational side, but it's focused towards food service hospitality as a whole with that beautiful Marriott kitchen that they've got down there.
Beautiful Marriott kitchen.
It is Marriott paid for it.
Really?
It's got Marriott name on it.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow! Who paid for your kitchen?
The wonderful taxpayers of Greenwood County.
Okay. All right. So we all should have our name on it, right? There you go. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
Yeah, to have a little block that paid for by Ann Eller, paid for by, yeah, that would be pretty cool,
Well, we
actually.
have the plaque up in the main lobby because the building was built in, 1968?
Right.
But then the culinary program wasn't introduced until '07. And I'm the 4th teacher since the program was started.
Yeah. I think it's a fascinating program. I think it's so great. Now, let me just ask you, if somebody, like you're doing the desserts for Music for Ministry this Saturday.
I am.
If somebody has something, how do they contact you? Do
Yes.
you see if it's something that would work?
Yes, and I have to tell a lot of people no.
Right, I
Because
imagine.
ultimately, I have to be able to teach the students. And so education has to come first, and the caterings and outside sales and things that we do are great ways for the students to apply their knowledge,
Right.
and to have that hard and fast, like, hey, the people are coming. It's the old movie, the Russians are coming, the Russians are coming.
Right.
The people are coming.
Right, we gotta be ready.
We got to be ready.
Right.
And so, having that hard deadline is really great for the students. And so I do take, I think I've booked 12 different events this fall. So I'm full this fall. But yes, if they want to reach out, my email address, or they can reach out through, my email address is on the District 50 website. I have a website there as well, and contact information forms. And then also social media. A lot of people reach out to me through social media, Facebook and Instagram, through my school handles.
That's right.
As
So
well
that's
there.
what, RTC Chef Hancock?
Yeah,
is that
RTC
right?
Chef Hancock, and then RTC Lunchbox for the food trailer.
For the food trailer. Well, we're going to talk about the food trailer. We would love if you have a question, 864-229-7984. You can text me on that on our text line. You also can comment right here on our Facebook Live page. I know a lot of people like to listen, Jay, when we're on the air. And then what I love about doing Facebook Live is afterwards people can go back and watch it. And so it's a really great tool, really great tool. So if you've got a question, 864-229-7984. If you've got a question on Facebook, like what you're hearing, please like it and share it. It really helps us get our numbers up out there. So right now we're going to take a quick break. We are here with Jay Hancock. He is the chef instructor for the Culinary Arts program at the G. Frank Russell. He also is the does pop-up, no, they're not pop-up programs
Continuing
out there.
education.
Continuing education. And he does special programs out there at Piedmont Tech. He's got one coming up very soon, so we're going to be talking about some of those things too. So don't you go away. We'll be right back right here on WCRS Radio. So, are you enjoying the show? I certainly hope so. Don't go away, because we're coming right back. Take it away with the music. Cue the music. All right, we'll be right back. That's right. We're right back here, WCRS. I hope you enjoyed that little interlude here. We certainly did enjoy it. We've got more to talk about because we just have been talking about. I was told that Jay Hancock likes to talk, and I don't know. I think it might be true. But I think part of his liking to talk is his enthusiasm for his job and his life, and that makes a difference when you're really enthused and you have something really to share.
I say this is my best job I've ever had, and this is school year 9 for me, and I want to keep going all the way through. I love, as long as I'm able to teach, this is what I want to do.
Absolutely. Now, you are married.
I am.
Yes.
16 years as of Friday. We have 3 little ones.
Yeah.
We have a 4th grader and twin 1st graders.
Oh my gosh.
All girls.
All girls?
So my shotgun holds 3 shells. I can take care of 3 boyfriends without having to go back for ammo.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. If any guys are thinking futuristically, know what you're getting into. All right. Anyways, we're here with Jay Hancock. He is the chef instructor for the Culinary Arts Program. He also does work out at Piedmont Tech, and he does works for the Workforce Development in Continuing Education. So he's a very busy guy, and I'm so appreciative of the fact that he was able to come sit down and share some of the knowledge, because I think for many of us out there, we don't really know. We see bits and pieces, but you don't really know what's going on behind the curtain.
Well, and yeah, we like to say that the G. Frank Russell Technology Center is Greenwood's best kept secret, and we want to fix that. And so we're trying to we try to get the word out there more and more, try to get more attention on social media and more be out there in the community, because we are doing some really amazing things, not just in culinary, but other programs that we have there where the students are getting life skills.
And they need those life skills.
Yes. And they do, and they need something to put their hands on. And those skills that you can't. I have a sign on my desk that says, I teach things that can't be Googled.
Or done with AI.
Well, or done with AI. And there's some fantastic things being done in culinary with AI, but at the end of the day, you still need someone to cook it.
Right.
And we were talking, actually, just this week, we were talking about jobs and how AI is impacting certain jobs and robots coming into certain jobs as minimum wages change and labor pools change. And we were talking, look, you need a skill, because the burger flipper could be replaced with a robot, and it is being replaced in communities where the minimum wage is $15, $20 an hour.
Right.
They're replacing the burger flipper with a robot.
Right.
But the person who can dress a plate and manage the team and manage everything and that's not being replaced.
Well, you can't. Yeah, that's not really something that you can replace.
You can't do Pascal's or Polo's or Montague's or Our Place or Outback with a robot. Yeah. Sports Break, any of these great restaurants that we have because we have so many great restaurants in Greenwood. And you can't do it with a robot. That's true.
So, I think there's a couple of places in Greenville now where they've got robots delivering the food when they're short. When they're short on waiters, they just punch it up, take it to table 4, and here it comes.
I saw that. I'm like, I was started to get annoyed already when, like, Applebee's gives you the little game device at the table, because we have a no screens. We don't let the kids just play on the screens at the television. They have to, at the table they can coloring books and things, but we're not giving them an iPad.
Right.
And so you're giving me a game player, and then you're telling me you can't take my dessert order. I have to put it in the tablet. I don't want to put it in the tablet. You're my server. You want a tip?
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to get tipped, you take my order. Right. You take my money.
What do you think? This is just off the topic, but what do you think every time you walk into any restaurant that is take and go, a fast food, I don't care whether it's Starbucks, Panera, whatever of them, and they're asking for a tip?
No.
And don't you? And also, as this person is standing here that's just taken your order, and you're like, I don't need to give you a tip.
No, I'm an Emily Post follower when it comes to tips. If you're a sit-down restaurant being served at the table, it's that 18 to 22%. The average being 20. If it's a buffet, it's 10%. So China Garden, 10% is the standard at a buffet. And other than that, the restaurant needs to be paying you your wage.
Right.
And that's unpopular opinion for this day and age, because so many of them, they just want to throw a tip line on there, throw a tip line. And I have to admit, I have a tip line on the lunchbox when we go out in the lunchbox, but there's a sign, because District 50 policy, those tips are considered additional program donations.
Okay.
So they just go into the program. So they're not going, I'm not allowed to give the students money.
Right.
But I can use those funds that come in, I can use to benefit the students, and I do. This year, we were talking about that before we went on air, that I was able to bring student fees down this year because of these fundraising activities that we've been able to do. And so instead of them paying $40 and $50, they're paying $30 and $40. And I was able to buy shoes, kitchen safe shoes for every student without changing their fee structure at all. So just to get them safer in the kitchen, have them be more professional in the kitchen. With the,
does putting on a uniform make a difference?
It does. It does.
What's the difference that it makes in a student?
It's an attitude difference. A student who takes the time to put their uniform all the way on. Because, they're high schoolers. Sometimes they forget their uniform. Sometimes they choose not to put their uniform on. And there is a difference. Mm-hmm. When you're in uniform, in the professional environment of the kitchen, with chef hollering out, hey, we need to do this next. Hey, we need to do this next. We need to do this next. We need to do this next. Come on now, let's go. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And so it's important. Professionalism is so important. I teach respect in my kitchen.
Gracious
professionalism. We were talking about that. I love that phrase. That's great. But I teach them to be respectful. They have to be respectful to me. They have to be respectful to each other. They have to be respectful to the campus as a whole, and accountable for their actions. And then teaching them to be a professional, dressing out, calling out. If they're going to be absent, I don't care if you got suspended for the week. You have to still call your job. Hey, I can't be at work this week, boss. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be at school this week, boss. I'm sorry.
Right.
All right. They have to call out, and I give them lots of opportunities that they're able to do that. They can call. They can send a message and remind.
Right.
They can send an email. They can tell me in person. They can send me an Instagram message.
But there's no excuse.
They need to tell me.
That's kind of like the Army. Yes, sir. No, sir. No excuse, sir.
Well, because if you no-call, no-show from any other job,
right,
you don't have a job anymore.
Exactly.
You're unemployable. I teach them about employability. What goes into being employable?
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about your fundraising that you've been doing. This lunchbox truck, how did that come about?
So that was really cool. My 2 directors ago, during COVID time, he came to me and he said, Jay, I've been seeing some stuff about food trucks. Are you interested in having a food truck? And I said, sure. Why would I not say yes to that? This is such a cool opportunity for the kids. He said, okay, get some numbers together. And so I started doing research and figuring out what I wanted and what I needed and what the state regulations were and all this kind of stuff. And it was a long process. And it would have been a lot shorter process if we didn't have that naggy thing called state procurement processes.
Yeah, right.
But we have a great team at Greenwood 50, both in procurement, finance, the school level, and they helped get this through. And it was touch and go for a minute there, but it ended up being that our district maintenance staff, we bought all the components and they assembled it. And so Scott Duncan and his team at the district maintenance, they put it all together, and they did a fantastic job with it.
So what is in that food truck?
So it's a 20-foot truck. Mm-hmm. It has a flat top grill. It has a char grill, 2 fryers, a steam table, and a cold sandwich make station, fridge, and a freezer.
Wow.
And so I designed it so that it was versatile.
Right.
So that, because we have gone out, and I have to say 9 times out of 10 that we've gone out, it has been smash burgers and fries.
Right, okay.
Which is what we're taking. Our first event this semester, we're going to the Steam Festival in October, uptown. And we're going to do smash burgers and fries and blueberry fritters.
Oh, I like it.
So, it's something we can do fresh, we can do great, we can do well, students can learn with it. We'll hand cut the fries. We have a fry cutter in the classroom. And so we'll cut those fries, we'll blanch them in the kitchen, in our kitchen, and then we'll bring them onto the trailer so they can just be finished fried.
Yeah,
yes, they'll be hand cut and fresh. We've done tacos off the truck, and then with the charity dinner series that we had in the spring, we were able to do some really, the restaurants got really creative with those.
We had 3 different restaurants, right?
Yes. We did. We had Montague's, and we had Break on the Lake, and we had Indigenous Underground. And they each took dishes from their menu and brought them to our trailer.
What did the kids think about this?
The kids loved it. They competed to be on that truck. They wanted to be out there cooking.
They wanted to be part of the truck.
They did.
Okay.
And I did require them to be in culinary too. I require them to do at least one event.
Right.
Because we're out there.
Right.
And I need that labor pool. But I give them bonus points, and they can earn extra credit, and they can earn make-up points if they missed a day, and they can earn.
So it's worth their while.
I make it worth their while, and
Right.
they get fed, and they get exposed to chefs, and they get exposed to, because a lot of things in food service is networking, and so the more people they can get exposed to, the better
Sure.
too.
So did you raise any money?
We did. We raised something like $3,400.
Right.
And half of that went to some charities here in town, Humane Society, the Food Bank,
Mm-hmm.
and in Abbeville, Community Outreach of Abbeville. And so the restaurant chose the charity.
Mm-hmm.
For one of them, the restaurant collaborated with the students to pick the charity, and so that was really cool because the students picked Humane Society.
Right.
But just some really worthy charities. I told them it had to be a local charity. We didn't want to send money off to somewhere else. It needed to stay in Greenwood and benefit Greenwood, but that was my only rule.
Right.
And just some really great partners, and I'm looking forward to doing that again.
And did you work to your maximum capacity for that, or would this year be maybe even bigger because you learned so much maybe by doing it?
For our middle one, we certainly were at capacity, and that was in Ninjas Underground. Mm-hmm. We ran out of everything. The students and I almost didn't get to eat. I almost had to go buy Chick-fil-A and buy meals for everybody, because we went through everything.
Wow.
There. But I think in the other ones, the break on the lake, we got rained out. And so that put a hamper on some of that. But
Right.
yeah, I think we have some.
No, it put a damper on it.
Yeah. Kind of rained on our parade.
Yeah, right. Right.
Little drizzle.
Right.
Showers of blessing.
Right. But so you raised $3,400, and that's again money that the half, I guess, that you kept would have stayed in to be able to buy shoes and
reduce the fee money and things like that. And just pays. I take my kids on a couple of field trips a year, and so this last year I took all of my students, because I'm a bus driver. I have a CDL. I got my CDL a couple years ago for church, and then when I started teaching, I added the school bus endorsement onto it. And that's been really nice because there's such a shortage of school bus drivers.
They need school bus drivers. So
well,
if you want to start earlier, Jay, I mean, maybe you could do that too.
I know teachers that do in other areas. I was actually one of the conferences I went to this summer, and the lady, she teaches early childhood at her center in Virginia.
Right.
But she drives a bus route every morning. And I'm I can't even imagine, because I have to get Walmart picked up and food laid out, and
right.
I can't imagine driving a route before that.
Right.
But I'm able, because I have it for my class, I'm able to just grab a bus and we go. So I've taken them to 3 different communities, and I just pay for I'm able to pay for the gas out of that. I'm able to pay for their lunch and or snacks and things like that out of it at different restaurant locations, so I can kind of expose them again. So this last year we went down and we got to see a ghost kitchen in Chapin.
A ghost kitchen.
Ghost kitchen.
What's a ghost kitchen?
A ghost kitchen or a commissary.
Okay.
It's an inspected location with no retail front. And so it's this was an old like 7-Eleven or Pizza Hut or Domino's or something, and it's a kitchen that many different people share.
Interesting.
And they serve food out of it legally under inspection for their food truck, for their because you see people on Facebook all the time selling plates out their back door.
Right.
And that's illegal.
Right.
So doing it in a ghost kitchen or a commissary is legal. You just rent that space and you keep your food there.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And so you have caterers who use it to do their prep in. So I took them to the ghost kitchen, and then just up the road from that was a U.S. Food store. And we got to go in there and explore the U.S. Food store, and we skewed their sales reports that day because the students all wanted to buy something. And we had the line going out the middle of the store with all of my 30 some students and their parents that were
went on the trip too. Yeah.
And then we went to the guy who owns that ghost kitchen went to his restaurant, and I treated them all to lunch, and fantastic food there. Yeah, it's just kind of giving again exposure, and those fundraisers allow me to have that freedom to give them another experience.
Right.
Which is important to me.
Absolutely. Have you ever had any students come back to you and say, I wasn't too hot about this class, but what it has done for me in my future, when we owned Sharp Facets, every once in a while I'd have a person that worked for me, and we didn't get along maybe that well, or this type of thing, and that they'd write back years later. And I really understand why you wanted things the way you wanted, yada, yada, and I appreciate what it was. And it always floored me when I got something like that. How about, do you ever have any of those experiences?
Yes, I've had a couple of those experiences, and those have been just really, they're really heartwarming experiences when you get a student coming back after years and years and they say, Chef, I remember all those things I learned from you. And I'll run into them at Planet Fitness, or I'll run into them just in Walmart.
Right.
And remember what we used to do I miss your class.
That has to be a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. It is good, especially when you're not, sometimes with some of them you can't read if they actually got it or not.
Right.
And so to have them to tell you later on that, hey, I got it. And that's a nice feeling.
And not only that, you're opening up potential doors for them to see a different way forward into adulthood, right?
Yes, and be functional use of society, and even if it's a part-time job or a means to an end, where they have that job that's paying them to go to school,
right,
and paying them well to go to school,
right?
Because a good line cook, a good someone in a kitchen working in a restaurant, they're making good money these days, especially since COVID. The labor rate has gone up significantly in kitchens, and so getting to see that they can earn a livable wage. While they're earning, maybe while they're for permanence, or maybe while they're looking to do something else.
Absolutely. What do you think about about people opening restaurants? How do you feel about that?
I think that they are brave people.
Okay. Okay.
The statistics on new restaurants opening up are mind-boggling. How many of them fail? I think it's over half of them fail within the first year, and sometimes you get someone who opens a restaurant. I had someone that I knew that opened a restaurant and failed at 14 months. And I love his food, and I want to eat more of his food, but he's working in a private setting now where I can't eat his food anymore. And I miss his food.
Right.
And you're like, man, why can't this good person make it work? And then you get somebody else. I remember seeing somebody else who opened a restaurant who had no business opening a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And DHEC rode him. The health inspector rode him right on out of business because he had no idea what he was doing.
Right.
So he couldn't manage the safety parts, and so when you can't manage the safety parts, you get fined and fined and fined and fined, and so then the restaurant, which already is going to struggle with cash flow, because at a new restaurant, cash flow is king.
Absolutely.
You got to keep the money flowing, and if the money's not flowing, I remember reading an article about a restaurant in Greenville that they told the owner of the restaurant when they sold it. They said, look, January, February, March are going to be terrible for you. And they are terrible for restaurants. But come April the 1st, all the way through to, end of September, October, you will make it all up and more.
But you can't be spending it all. You got to save it for that rainy day.
You got to save it for a rainy day. And the restaurant, the new owners closed on March the 31st, and they gave up on March the 31st.
When April 1st was
April 1st was the core date they were shooting for, and they didn't listen.
Wow.
But cash flow, so a lot of these restaurants, they come in and they have these great ideas and great flavors, hopefully.
Right.
Okay. That one had no business in culinary. I don't know if he was doing, but this other one, he had wonderful flavors, beautiful plates, a beautifully renovated space, and he just couldn't make it work.
So he should have hired a chef.
Well, he was the chef.
That's what I'm saying.
He needed a business person.
He
needed a business person.
He needed a business person.
I think. I didn't get the full story on that one, but I miss his food.
You miss his food.
I miss his food. But yes, anybody who opens a new restaurant, they have my admiration and respect, because that's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard on a person. It's hard on a family. I always say that if I was going to open a restaurant, it would be like Amish oven. The Manleys, that model of Monday through Friday for lunch.
Yeah.
I love that. That would be.
That would be it, huh?
That would be it. Or or a big city where in an office building where you could do breakfast and lunch for.
And survive.
And survive. Like a Jewish bagel place.
Right.
Breakfast and lunch Monday through Friday.
Sounds good to me. All right. Well, we got just a little bit of time left. We wanted to talk about what you're doing out there at Piedmont Tech. Yeah, you're teaching some interesting classes out there.
I am. So I'm collaborating with the Continuing Education Workforce Development Department, and actually we're using my kitchen. So District 50 and Piedmont Tech came to an agreement for the facility use. And so the classes are in my kitchen.
Oh, so they're over at G. Frank
They're still
Russell.
at G. Frank Russell,
Okay.
but they're through Piedmont Tech. And so I'm trying to do one a month. So we have our next one is this Saturday, and it's the reservations are closed for that one. But we're doing appetizers on Saturday. And then in September 27th, we're doing brunch.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, so we're going to do like chicken and waffles and that kind of, I think biscuits and gravy. Things like biscuits and gravy, shrimp and grits, maybe. I haven't settled the menu all the way for that one yet.
Okay.
But brunchy foods.
Right.
Probably some quiche. October 25th, we're going to do Italian food. And then we're also offering, through that same, we're going to offer an intercession camp, which during COVID, when there was all this federal money, we were able to do middle school camps over
Right.
intercession.
Yes.
But then when all that dried up, Piedmont Tech has said they're willing to take that on as a camp. And so we're doing a 3-day, half-day camp in October, that first 3 days of the fall intercession.
Right.
And we're going to do a 6th through 9th grade camp.
What will they learn?
So, what did I put on that? I put churros on that. I put walking tacos on that. So I'm just going to kind of build it. We're going to start with knife skills, and we're just going to kind of, grow them over those 3 days into things that they can learn.
That is terrific. I think, I remember when I was fortunate when I grew up. I was in Connecticut. And we actually had ovens in a room, and we got to cook cookies and all the 2nd, 3rd grade.
Yep.
And it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
And now they don't actually do that anymore.
Right. Well, we're going to do that. I'm doing the middle school level camps with that, and I don't know that my calling is quite elementary school yet. I have elementary school students myself, or elementary school children myself, but I'm going to stick with the middle school and high school for the for the teaching classes for now, at least. With that.
No, I think that's neat, Jay. This has been a fascinating fast hour, hasn't it?
It has been a fast hour. It has been an hour already.
Yeah, it has. So we've had lots of people looking at it, jutting in, jutting out right here on Facebook Live. I've gotten choked up here. I'm so excited here today. Jay Hancock, he's the chef instructor for the Culinary Arts Program here in Greenwood at G. Frank Russell. He's a fascinating guy. He certainly wants to make sure that the students that are in this program walk away with usable skills, and I think that is a testament to somebody that is all for the students. And I hope you will come back. Maybe we'll bring some students here and talk about some other things with you one of these days.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
Absolutely. Jay, is there anything you'd like to say in closing here?
No, if you want to find more about our program, social media, RTC Chef Hancock or RTC Lunchbox are great ways to follow on Instagram and Facebook. And I look forward to interacting with you. If you have questions, feel free to email me, message me. I like to interact with community. I like to interact with parents. If you think your child might be interested in this, I'd love to hear from you.
And we need to do a shout out to your wife.
Yes, long-suffering woman. 16 years we've been married. She's she's
and
wonderful.
you met her. She's a pastry chef.
She is a pastry chef. She runs Joy of Cakes here in town. So she does beautiful cakes because I cannot decorate a cake to save my life. Okay,
is that how y'all got together? You could cook the food and she could cook the desserts.
We met in culinary school, and we got actually set up on a practical joke. That's another story for another time.
All right. Well, we'll have to hear all about that. But it has been an absolute delight to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. That's going to do it for us. I'll be back in the morning right here on WCRS. You have a good night, and tomorrow is Friday, so that's another good thing. And it's football tomorrow, Friday. Football.
Lots of scrimmages.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Yep.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take it away with the music. Cue the music. We're out of here.